My partner isn't here right now because she's actively teaching high school biology in the Evergreen School District at Heritage High School. I just retired 9 months ago from Oregon State Psychiatric Hospital. I worked there for 26 years, and so I'm brand new to Social Security. I'm not yet eligible for Medicare. My wife, Kathy, is 65 and teaches high school biology in Vancouver, Washington. She will be retiring at the end of this year, and she will be eligible for Medicare. I want to thank you for all of your support so far on both these issues. And I want to thank you also for holding the line on the cost of living increases to Social Security. It isn't a tremendous amount of money for the majority of us, but it makes a big, big difference in allowing us to at least attempt to keep up with the rising costs of everything around us. We actually met at a little 1960s, 70s dance club, and she was sitting at a table with a bunch of other ladies, parents without partners, and I was newly moved to Oregon and went down there with a book just to see what it was like. So I sat at the bar and was reading. I saw her there, I asked her to dance, and then later on that night I ended up giving her the book I was reading, and I think that's what made the connection. She said anyone who can read has got to be smart enough for her.
We ended up getting married in 1970, so we've had a wonderful life together. And the reason we have such a good time together is because I've been lucky enough to always have a job where we had good pay and we had health coverage to help us along. We didn't have to worry about those things. We were able to devote more time to our family and everything. And because of the work that Jeff Merkley is doing with Medicare, Medicaid, and helping support those programs and workers, hopefully my children will have the same privileges that I had. So it's been great, and we're looking forward to another 20 or 30 years together. We met in a kind of a strange way. I was home living with my parents after I'd gotten out of the service, and I was with a gentleman that I knew there in Melford, Utah, and we were driving up and down Main Street, a small town of about 2,000 people, and that was all there was to do in the evening after the bars closed. And they happened to be in town with her girlfriend from college, and he said, "Hey, I know that girl over there, let's stop and take her for a ride." So I picked up Thea, so I can always say that I picked up my wife off the street.
That's My husband had kidney failure. It was a congenital thing, and 14 years into our marriage. And at that time, someone had gone into Congress to put everyone who was on dialysis on Medicare. And he was on Medicare and on dialysis for 14 years. He never would have had that opportunity to live that long without this. I just want to thank you so much for all you've done. You've just been a star in Washington since you went there.
I'm Jan McManus, and this is my spouse, Marilyn McManus. We've been together for almost 26 years. I brought with us today a picture of us at our 10th anniversary when we were married in a spiritual ceremony on the beaches in Hawaii with our little girl who was 5 years old at the time. And now she's grown and engaged to be married to a wonderful young man. I wanted to thank Senator Merkley for his support of Social Security and Medicare. I've read that Social Security is what is keeping more than half of today's seniors out of poverty. And it's the only thing that accounts for the decline in the poverty level of seniors since 1967, which is when they added the inflation index to Social Security. And it's more important, it's more of a lifeline than ever today, with fewer people having private pensions and people having depleted their savings to help themselves or their families get through this great recession we've been having. So Social Security is absolutely necessary and vital to so many older Americans today, and I think it'll be more so in the future. Since this ceremony, we've also been married civilly in Canada, and we've also registered as domestic partners here in Portland. Despite the fact that we've been married 3 times in 3 different ways, is not recognized by the federal government, and we have no access to spousal benefits. And I hope you'll also work to change that, Senator Merkley. Thank you.
And the way we met was at Rosetown Ramblers, lesbian and gay square dancing. She played the role of a boy, I played the role of a girl. The first things we said to each other were, "Are you a boy or are you a girl?" She was a boy, I was a girl, so we got to dance together. That's our story.
It was on July 1st, 1966, when I was on the beach, Staten Island, with my friend Carolyn. She said that she wanted to go to this place called Buckley's that night because she was going to meet the man she was going to marry for sure. So I said I didn't want to go. She argued with me. I went to Buckley's with her, and I didn't want to dance and do anything because she was going to meet the man she was going to marry. He was tall, and my nose came to this tie pin. I was afraid to look up, so in the dance I finally looked up and said, "Hey, he's good looking." "Hey, this is my workout." Sure enough, it did, and this is when we were married 2 years late. He retired early so he could take care of our granddaughter, and he collected Social Security to get some money, extra money coming in. And then when I retired in 2011, I was fortunate to be 21 years with the state of Oregon, so I'd get pension and Social Security, which together we can live like we have. We didn't have to sell our home or anything, so we feel very good about that.
The fact that we can stay in this home that we spent a lifetime building on, it's an old 1909, and spent most of our life restoring it to its original. And our dream was that when we pass on, to at least leave this home to our daughter, so they always have a place to live. I don't think it would be possible without the Medicare and Social Security. I think we would have lost it by now.
For sure.
Makes me cry. A lot of years.
I'm Joe Digman, and this is my wife, Jean McNaster. We've been married 37 years. 37 years. We were high school sweethearts, and I saw her walking into the room with the boycott lettuce stick about that. And I knew everyone who had those, and I wondered where the heck she came from.
Well, he thinks that's how we met, but I actually saw him 3 weeks earlier in the lunch line, and I kept trying to, cross where he crossed in the hall at the same time and start up conversations, but he just didn't have any interest until he saw the button.
So we actually walked picket lines together, and that's how we got to know each other. And we met Cesar Chavez, and we both actually went on staff with the United Farm Workers at one point. So we've had a long life so far, and we're hoping it's longer. But we really need to have Social Security and Medicare there so we can retire. Especially if they're talking about cutting the cost of living, that's really going to hurt us. We don't want to have to work till we're 70 or 75, and we really want to thank Senator Merkley for his courageous votes, and hope he'll keep doing it. So thank you, Senator.
My husband and I met at a theater. I was working as a ticket seller at a theater. And interesting enough, after we met about 3 years later, we got married. But he said at sight he was interested in me, and he just didn't know why. Well, I could have told him it was my beauty, of course. It sure was his, because he was strikingly handsome. And he's gone before me 10 years ago. His name was Ted. From that union, we had 2 children. And we have a total of 9 grandchildren. I became an employee at the state of Oregon in the late 90s. I previously had experience in working in the field of mental health. Prior to that, I started in '81. So my total amount of time spent working in that field that I retired from a year ago, which was 2011, was a sum of 30 years. If it were not for the senator and his hard work and all of those that worked along with him, I wouldn't be retired so soon, so young. I call that a sense of humor, in case anybody didn't get it.